Good day, everyone. Father Neil Dadey here once again with you on this Friday of the fourth week of Ordinary Time. In today's Gospel for the weekday liturgy, we read about the beheading of John the Baptist. I think we all know the story of John the Baptist and King Herod. King Herod married his brother's sister, Herodias. And Herodias was jealous of John the Baptist. John the Baptist approached Herod and said, "You cannot do this. You are not permitted to marry. That is immoral and not allowed." He was thrown into prison. Herod threw John into prison, and Herodias harbored the grudge against John the Baptist for speaking out against her and her marriage to King Herod. Well, one day, Herodias' daughter came in and did a dance that pleased Herod. And Herod promised Herodias anything that she would want, even to half the kingdom, because he was so happy with the dance. And so the girl went to her mom, and her mom said she wanted the head of John the Baptist on a platter. And because of the promise he made to her, he would not renege on it. He would not go back on it. And so he dispatched executioners to behead John the Baptist in prison. We all know that story. But I think the important part for me is the cowardness of King Herod. It's not necessarily that he kept his word. It's that he kept his word knowing that he was not doing right. He could have very easily said, "No, I don't want to do that." Or, "No, I don't want to do this. This is something that I know is wrong." But because he wanted to protect his reputation, because he wanted to look good in the eyes of his court officials that were at the party, because he wanted to not renege and look bad in front of his people, he became a coward and sent executioners to behead John the Baptist. You know, as I read this story and I think about it, how many times in a sense do we become like Herod? Afraid of what other people think. Afraid of what others might say about us. Afraid of not living up to their standards. And so what do? We back down. We don't speak out when maybe we should. We don't say something when maybe we should. We don't do something when we know we might and should have done something in whatever circumstance we find ourselves. At work, within our homes, within the parish. Father Jonathan and I always see that within our own lives, to speak out no matter what anybody says or thinks about us, which sometimes rankles feathers. But so be it. That's what we're called to do. And that's what not just us, Father Jonathan and I, are called to do. Everyone is called to live and to preach when necessary, to live the gospel message no matter what anybody thinks or says about us. There is absolutely no one that we should fear. We should not be afraid of anyone or anybody's opinions of us or anybody's outlook about us. It doesn't matter. The only person that it matters to is Jesus Christ and what he thinks. And when we live his gospel, when we live his message, when we preach that gospel and preach that message, and if it's not accepted, that's not your fault and it's not mine. It's theirs. And so they have to live with that, not us. So don't be like King Herod, afraid to speak out at times, or afraid to live the gospel, or afraid to preach Jesus Christ because of what others might think or say, how we might be excluded or talked about. It honestly doesn't matter one bit. What matters is our relationship with Jesus Christ. That is first, foremost, and primary. And if we live the gospel and it's not liked, it's not our issue. And so I ask you to not be afraid to not speak out, to not be afraid what others might think or say or do to you or about you. It truly doesn't matter. And remember the old saying, if they're talking about us, than they're leaving somebody else alone. So be at peace, live the gospel, live Jesus Christ. Don't be like Herod. Live what we know is right and just. So God bless, take care, and truly be good witnesses of the Lord Jesus.